You can now support the show through Patreon or by purchasing the new Will I Vike It and Saxon Forager merch. There's some really great designs, some of which were done by the fantastic Saxon storyteller. If you can't spare the money but still want to show your support, click the subscribe button. It really does help. Enjoy the episode, and I hope you Vike it. Hello and welcome back to the Will I Vike It podcast. And today my guest is Rebecca Noden from Nodens Coffee in Royal Wootton Bassett.
Yep.
To give it its full title. So, full disclosure, Rebecca is my sister-in-law. I've known her since she was 4. And so, yeah, I thought we'd get her on and we're going to talk a bit about what she does. We're going to eat some food and probably talk about some of the recipes from my cookbooks. But we'll get to that in a bit. But we're going to initially start off, we're going to give Rebecca some coffee. Because as the owner of a coffee shop...
The only way to start is
I'm going to have
coffee.
to finish what's in my cup first.
Do you need my cup? Am I going to have to down?
Down it. It's
Great
only,
start.
It's only vodka. Go on.
Straight vodka, only way to start.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got some acorn coffee because I figured what better thing to give someone that makes coffee for a living than a coffee substitute. Would you like a different cup?
Do you have a different cup?
Do I have a different cup? So this is actually the first time I've recorded from home with someone for the podcast as well.
I mean, normally I'm all up for downing beer, but...
So,
Brilliant, thank you.
acorns from a tree just outside there.
Locally
Very local.
sourced.
Yeah. And I thought today we'd try and convince you that some of these things should go on the menu at Nodens Coffee.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect.
So give it a go, see what you think. You don't have to agree. No.
I'm waiting for you to drink it first. I'm wondering why you're not tasting it too.
No, I quite like it. To me, it tastes quite like coffee.
It does actually taste like coffee.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised. I didn't think it was going to taste like coffee at all. But it really does taste like coffee.
There you go.
It's like a nutty, slightly weak coffee.
I've quoted before, but someone on one of my courses said it tastes like a tree.
It does.
So think about as you drink it.
Yeah, I can taste, it does taste a little bit how I would imagine bark might taste if left in hot water for a little while.
There you go. Try it, folks. It's a good one.
But it's actually really nice.
I like
and
it.
really refreshing as well. I don't know why, but I thought it would be quite dry. When you think about an acorn, you don't think about it being
I'll say,
refreshing.
I mean, it is a bit of a reenactorism, so it's not really something that we necessarily know they would have done. They were eating acorns. We've got evidence of like charred acorns from fires, but they were probably, I'd imagine, eating them and drinking beer. I mean, so yeah, it's just for a bit of fun, but a lot of reenactors do it. It is caffeine free, so if you want a caffeine free coffee for your shop,
awesome. There we
acorn
go.
coffee is the way to
Yeah.
go. You can, I mean, I don't know any traders in particular, but I know you can buy it online, so you wouldn't have to get your own acorns.
I can't come steal your acorns from your tree.
No. So, as I said, Rebecca owns a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Been open since the beginning of December.
Yeah, so just over a month now.
Yeah. Business is booming, I gather.
It's doing good. I thought it'd be very quiet in January.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been. It's still been good. We've got our regular customers who we love. And yeah, very busy.
Yeah. What made you open a coffee shop?
It's been one of those dreams that was in the back of my mind for a long time. I've always been super passionate about food and drink, especially about where food comes from, having that connection to your food, connection to the source. But I pushed it to the back of my mind, as I'm sure we've all got that dream that's just in the back of our head. And I pursued my career and I got what I thought was my dream job. Turns out it's not my dream job. It's not at all what I thought it would be like. So I had a real sit down and thought about not just what I want to do as a career, but what I want out of life, what I'm doing in this world. And I thought, you know what, the thing that is when I'm really down and keeps me happy and going is food and trying different food, and having that, you know, just the idea of going out and getting food and cooking it and having that real connection to your food just brings so much joy, and not just to me, to other people as well, I know feel the same. So I thought, I'm going to do something with that. I'm going to do something with that passion. So I wrote all my ideas in a business plan, just as a way to template it. And I thought, well, I got the business plan, I might as well send it off. Someone was crazy enough to give me some money to do it. And here we are.
And they did.
Yeah. But it's hard when you start, because you wonder if other people are going to be as passionate about your ideas as you are, and if there's other people out there that are going to want the same thing.
Yeah.
And there are. We're full on a lot of the days. Lots of people telling other people about it. A lot of people coming in and saying, someone's told me about it. So it's really good, and it's really nice to know that there's other people out there that feel the same way about it. I think as well with, food and drink, people would sit round tables and use it as a centrepiece of a celebration. It was a way to gather, it was a way to socialise. And I think our lives can get so busy in sort of modern society that we don't do that too much anymore.
Yeah.
But I think going to a coffee shop and having some good food and sitting there with your friends is just like a little piece of that. For example, the Vikings, they had banquet halls. Just to celebrate, and food was literally at the centre of that. Bring people together, exactly. And it's so lovely to see in the coffee shop when people come in with their friends and their family, and you get groups of people that will sit at a table and will be full, and then another group will join them at their table as well, and they're all gathered there together, and the table will be full of different food and drinks and things like that. It's lovely to see, and it's lovely to see other people getting that joy from it.
Yeah. So I originally did ask you for a copy of your menu, because I said I was going to try and Vike the menu. Bit more difficult than I thought. Things like bagels, kind of hard to do when you're a Viking. So we decided on the acorn coffee, and then as you've probably already noticed, I've got some stuff here that I've hidden.
I'm a little bit scared, if I'm honest.
And most of it's relatively normal food for me.
For you.
But I thought, we'd maybe give you some suggestions for things that you might put on the menu, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know how many Vikings you get coming in the shop, or is it more Saxons? What's the kind of clientele, is it?
We try and keep them at separate sides of the room.
No weapons, you take them away at the door?
Take them away at the door,
Yeah. So, this one I actually picked up yesterday. Anyone that's seen the episode at the goat farm will be familiar with this already. You look terrified. This is fun. So, woo!
Ooh, okay.
We've got some goat bones. And the idea of these is to eat the marrow that's inside them.
Okay, I thought it was going to be a little bit like ribs, but we're going to eat the inside.
I mean, you can eat the meat as well. There's nothing wrong with the meat or anything like that. Let's just move that one over there a minute. So, we've also got some crisp breads, sourdough crisp breads. A loaf of bread, which would be quite a high status, really. But I actually thought the bread might be good for spreading the marrow on.
Okay.
And then we've got some cured salmon.
Ooh.
Most people would call gravlax.
Amazing.
Are you scared yet?
I am.
You game? So, let's grab a knife. My thought was we'd eat the fish with the crackers and the marrow with the bread.
Perfect, okay.
And then you can tell me whether you're adding these to your menu or not. No pressure. I think anyone that goes to your shop in future will know the answer.
So what kind of bread is this bread?
This is a mixture of white flour and rye. Because rye doesn't rise very much, I like to use white flour.
Okay.
Which would be a tad on the expensive side. I mean, this is upper class Viking bread.
We're eating like high status Vikings.
We are. I mean, if you're going to sell it in a shop, the neighbour's dog is going to bark at us now. Now, I don't know how we're going to get the marrow out of these.
Authentic Viking chopsticks.
Yes. So, funnily enough, I was reading up yesterday about butchery in England by the Saxons. And the bones pre-Saxon are usually intact. And the bones in the Saxon period are normally fractured.
Okay.
Which implies that they were splitting the bones open to eat the marrow.
Right.
So this is a very authentic thing to do. I did try to use my fork once, but it doesn't come out very well. So feel free to grab a bone and stick some on some bread, or just eat it. I think I picked the worst one.
Oh, it's really soft inside. I didn't expect it to be so soft.
So these were just roasted in the oven.
And these are goat bones.
These are goat bones. You can smell it. Smells like a goat.
Smells like a goat. I don't know what a goat is meant to smell like.
Now, I've only recently discovered this stuff because Laura the goat farmer fed it to me on her episode. But I quite enjoyed it, and I thought actually it would work really well on a bit of bread. Okay. I did originally think I'd serve you it like on a plate, sourdough toast, and I was like, how are they making toast in the Viking Age? There's no toast. So we went for bread instead. So yeah, give it a go. There's a hair on mine. That's teach me for leaving it on the worktop. There you go. Go for it.
It is actually quite nice. I was very hesitant. It's definitely not something I thought I would ever eat.
It's creamy and meaty. I mean,
Yeah, it's very creamy.
It's almost like spreading lard on a bit of.
It is.
Bread.
It's like it's almost tastes quite like buttery.
Mm.
It's like a really buttery pate.
Mm.
But I suppose it makes sense for them to use all of the animal that they had available.
They would have made use of everything possible. So yeah,
literally everything.
There are some of the Norse sagas as well include stories about goats. Thor has his chariot that's pulled by the goats, and he's got the ability to eat the goats, and in the morning put the bones back together, and using his hammer he can revive them so they can pull his chariot again.
Oh, lovely for the goats.
They don't seem to mind.
And again, very local. So these goats are only down the road from you.
These are from 20 minutes away.
Beautiful.
I'm very lucky to have something like that locally. Which is another thing you're quite keen on, isn't it? With your produce, your lunches and things, you're trying to pick small businesses and local food and really high quality stuff.
100%, yeah. So we try to support other independent businesses where possible, local where possible. In fact, bread is one of our big things from us. Bread day was so great, trying all the different breads from all the different suppliers. And we had a whole range of dips and things to try them with. We spent a long time actually choosing the bread. And yeah, we settled on another independent supplier that make our sourdough bread for us. But again, same with cakes, donuts, things like that. It's all other local businesses, other businesses that have the same passion that we do about their food, about using high quality ingredients, and also doing it in an ethical way. So using ingredients that you know where the source is of it. It's not just come from some big chain that are just there to get money. It's come from people that are doing it because that's their passion. Yeah.
More coffee?
I would love more coffee. It's actually very good.
Obviously the cafetiere is not particularly Viking, but so if I was at an event I would normally, I've got one here, I'd normally make it in a jug, strain it for a cheesecloth.
So how do you do it? So you get the acorns and then you grind them?
Yes, so the acorns, usually they're put into water first to like leach out some of the tannins, which is actually the thing that most people think makes them poisonous. It's not, it's just that they're very bitter and very hard to digest. I'm going to burp now, apologies. So, so then they're leached in water, they're finely chopped, and then they're oven roasted, which gives them that same kind of coffee roasted flavour.
Right.
And then ground up into a powder at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a video on my YouTube channel if anyone wants to see how it's made fully. Because
that sounds actually very interesting on how they would have done that. Have you tried roasting them to different levels, like light, medium, dark roast, acorn coffee?
I think when I did it last year, I did them a lot lighter. And this year, some of them were black when they came out. They were proper dark roast.
Dark roast coffee.
Which is, so that's
probably
where we're at with this.
it does taste really like coffee. I'm so surprised.
And you can do a similar thing, but you can, using more water to leach out more of the tannin, you can then grind them down into flour and use them to bulk out your bread flours to make loads of bread and things. Yeah, which probably more realistically they would have used it for something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice idea.
It's nice and great to keep you going when you're at the shows as well. Have something warm to drink.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so you didn't get too squeamish at the bones, which is always good.
I didn't. I'm quite impressed with myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, not something I thought I would ever eat, I must admit.
I don't know what, I mean, it's
but
goat
I'm glad
meat,
I did.
so I do like a bit of goat. Oh, it's crispy.
Crispy?
Mm.
I don't think there's much on this one.
But you're no stranger to my experiments, because usually when I'm writing cookbooks, you and your husband Steve are one of the first people that gets invited over. So you've been over when I've done suckling pigs, goat heads, like any of the weird foods that I've ever made.
Yeah, most of the time it's a great job to have. But there have been a few things that I've avoided and been too squeamish to eat.
I
But
can't remember. Did you try the brains?
I did not. No.
Hey,
No.
Steve, Rebecca's other half, ate one of the eyeballs.
He will eat
very
literally
brave.
anything.
Not for me.
Yeah, speaking of goats, I always call him a goat because he will eat everything.
There's actually a bit of meat on that one.
But one of the foods that you've made for us before is pinnicchio. Am I saying that right?
Pinnicchio. Sorry,
was-
Norwegians.
That was very good. And again, I hadn't had goat before that. That was something I would never have tried without.
Love pinnicchio.
Yeah.
But it's a very strong goaty flavour, whereas like gnawing on a bit of this is quite mild, I think.
Yeah.
So, but I think there's that curing process sort of intensifies it a little bit. Which is probably not a beginner's thing. If you haven't tried goat before, don't try pinnicchio.
So do you think it would have just been goats that they would have eaten the marrow of? Would it have been other animals as well?
No, there's evidence from other animals as well. So, cattle, sheep.
Wow.
Not so sure about pigs. I haven't read anything about cracked pig bones, but I was reading mainly about sheep, goats, and cattle. So yeah, I mean it's nutrition, it's food.
Yeah.
If you're gonna kill an animal, which they would have only mostly done in the winter or for a feast, you're gonna make the most of it.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And very tasty.
I mean, there's evidence that they crack the skulls as well, which could be for the brain. Right? It will be for the brain, but it could be for eating the brain, or it could have even been they used to use the brains for tanning hides.
Right.
So once you've skinned the animal, you rub the brains into it, and that's like one of the older methods for tanning. So don't know necessarily which way they would have gone, or if they would have done a bit of both, possibly.
I mean, I imagine that they would have tried it at some point if if they had them to hand, but
Yeah. So then, we've got some, what most people would know as gravlax, which I cured myself, not from the supermarket. Have you had cured salmon?
I haven't. I've had smoked salmon, but I haven't had gravlax before. Although it is something that I've actually wanted to try for a little while now.
I think for your fancy Wootton Bassett clientele, then this would go down.
I think it would go down better than maybe serving up bone marrow.
So we're saying not putting bones on the menu?
I'm saying that we might get a few opinions from customers if we gave them some bones on a plate.
I mean, you let dogs in. They'd love it.
The dogs would love it, and the dogs are our most important favourite customers. So
Exactly.
there we go.
So, right. I had to stop Emma from tucking into this earlier. Can I have it? No, maybe later.
We're trying it with the crisp bread.
That's up to you.
I'll
can
try
try
a
it on its
piece on
own.
its own first.
It's juniper berries, dill, salt, and honey.
And that would have been herbs that they had available, or?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, so with a modern one, I think they add gin.
Oh.
I think. I should have checked
I've
that
seen
before we
vodka
started.
before.
Yeah, so there's usually some kind of alcohol in there. But yeah, because they wouldn't have had like distilled spirits, I took that out. Sometimes I had a splash of mead if I've got a bottle of mead that are
nice.
handy. And they would use white sugar these days. Wouldn't have had it back then, so I've swapped it out for honey. So it's sort of an adapted modern recipe that I've tried to adapt to make it with Viking available stuff.
Yeah. I have a recipe for it, but I haven't made it yet. But that was with vodka. But actually, tasting the juniper berry, I might try it with gin. Because that was very good.
It's quite salty.
But not too salty. I'm going to try it with a bit of crisp bread. Mainly because I am obsessed with bread.
For me, I like it. I like the flavour. I don't like the texture so much. Which is the same reason why I don't like things like mussels. Like
Right.
There's a texture thing. Mussels, yeah, oyster chicken's lovely. But an oyster, not so much.
Yeah. I am normally okay. Oysters I can't do. I tried recently. Not a fan, but...
I'm going to have to do it on the podcast soon, just for laughs. Just I ate kidneys. Don't like kidneys. Very crisp.
It's very good on the crisp bread. That's
sourdough crisp bread, so
it's lovely.
stick that on your menu.
Perfect, yeah. I thought that there would be at least one thing that I didn't like, but actually this has all been really tasty. I'm especially surprised about the bone marrow and the coffee. I was excited to try the coffee, but I didn't think it would taste that good.
Well, there you go. It's a winner. Are you going to put any on the menu? You're just going to keep some out the back for when I come in and go, quick.
Pretend that we serve that.
So do you think you'll add this acorn coffee? I'm pushing this issue today. We're going to get something on the Nodens menu. Come on.
It's very good. And you know what I like about it? One of the problems with decaf coffee is often the coffee will come from one farm and then the coffee is flown to somewhere else for it to have the caffeine taken out of it, which is quite a big process.
Hang on, so they have to remove... This is going to make me sound stupid now, but I genuinely I've never thought about this.
They remove the caffeine from coffee.
Do you know how?
It's a process that uses CO2, and that is as much as I know. But
so environmentally, is that worse?
Environmentally, most of the time it's not great because it's being flown from one place to another and then over here. But one of the things that we were quite careful with when picking our decaf coffee is it's actually all done on one farm to reduce the air miles.
Yeah.
And it also means as well that you're reducing the amount of people that are in the chain rather than it going from one place to another supplier to another supplier. You're keeping that chain as small as possible.
Yeah.
And when looking at just the coffee in general, we picked the supplier very carefully with that for sustainability, but also for ethical reasons as well. So we buy it from a roaster. They roast the coffee for us, and he will go over to the farms which are in South America for the blend that we use. And he meets the farmers and he stays with them, he stays with their family. There's very few people in that chain, which means that the farmers are actually getting paid a fair amount for their coffee.
So this guy you're talking about, he's UK based?
Yeah, he's UK based. So he's in Chippenham.
Yeah.
So it's only 20, 30 minutes away from the coffee shop. But he grew up on a coffee farm. And his whole passion is coffee. He's very, very passionate about it, which is great because that's exactly what we were looking for. Someone that's not just doing it to get as much money as they can. He's doing it because that's what he cares about. That's his passion. He's another small business as well. And yeah, he's got that direct link with the farmers. Often the coffee is named after the farmer as well.
Right.
So it means not only are you closer to the source, but you know that when you're drinking your cup of coffee, that the person that's put the most amount of effort into it is being also paid for their time. And our coffee is artisan coffee. And you hear that phrase a lot, but not many people know what it means. And what it means is that everything's done in small batches and often by hand. So they're small farms. They're often a farmer and his family that are doing it with maybe a couple of workers.
Yeah.
And they're checking by hand whether the coffee's ripe. They're harvesting it by hand. The roaster then roasts it by hand and is checking it by eye, not using computers and things like that. And then when it comes to us, we're just a small team and we try and put as much care into the coffee as everyone else has done, which for you as a consumer means that you're drinking a great cup of coffee, and there's no guilt that you need to feel when you're drinking it because you know that everyone in that chain has got a fair price for what they've done. We've tried to be as sustainable as we can. And you're supporting people that are just small businesses that are doing what they love. And not just the coffee, we try to do that with all of our ingredients, and that's why we use other small independent businesses as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not coffee that's just been sat on the shelf and hasn't been loved at all. It's fresh coffee that's been made with purpose.
Just like my Acorn coffee.
Just like your Acorn coffee.
So basically, I'm looking for a sale now. You see.
So with your Acorn coffee, so in the coffee industry,
Yeah.
there's sort of two fields, I guess, in it when it comes to a consumer having coffee. The last process, which is fresh coffee and not so fresh coffee. So for us, after it's been roasted, we use that coffee within 2 weeks of it being roasted. And you can taste the difference.
Whereas... mine's months old, sorry.
Oh, that answers that question.
Yeah. Probably October I made that.
That's not too bad.
So, yeah.
It's not like it's been sat on the shelf in a warehouse for years like some coffee is. Have you tried?
Name names.
Have you tried having it fresh?
What, fresh acorns?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have brewed some after I made it. I can't think of any noticeable difference though.
Oh, maybe that
Yeah.
doesn't happen with acorns as much as it happens with...
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because without having a source of acorns like now, where I could brew some today and have them side by side. Whereas what I think of as acorn coffee a few months down the line, maybe the flavours are different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think with coffee, you can tell. You don't need to have them side by side. You can tell. So maybe that isn't a fact of acorn coffee.
I did wonder originally I was going to get some of your coffee.
Have it side by side. Maybe this wouldn't taste so much like coffee if we had actual coffee next to it.
Yeah, there's that. Or I was just going to serve you your own coffee and like claim that it was my own. See if you notice. Wait a minute, I know those beans.
That's a familiar taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, have you tried it with milk?
Yes.
How does it taste with milk?
Like coffee with milk.
And would that have been something that they would have done? Or is that something that there's just
yeah.
no way of knowing?
There's no way we would know that because there aren't many recipes for anything anyway. And yeah, like I say, the coffee realistically is probably a reenactorism. It's just...
Yeah.
It's something they could have done, but whether they would have... Yeah, so I don't know whether they would have put milk in it or sugar. Well, We know no sugar because they didn't have sugar.
You could try it with honey.
Yeah.
Honey and coffee is very nice.
I know people that drink the acorn coffee with sugar in.
Yeah.
So.
You have to try it. To be honest, though, it's not bitter. I thought it would be bitter, but it's not. So I don't think you really need anything sweet in there.
I think if you took the acorns and didn't process them through water first,
yeah,
then you'd have that more bitterness coming through. But I guess it's probably more correctly termed. It's probably more of an acorn tea.
Yeah.
I know everyone calls it coffee. I suppose because they're roasted, I suppose it is a coffee, but I don't know.
And is it a similar amount of the acorns that you use to how you would make a cup of tea?
Yeah, so I usually put like 2 teaspoons
Okay.
per cup.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I'm interested now how it would taste if we put it through the coffee machine. And really so the great thing about a coffee machine is that you know, the full coffee machines, is that you can really dial into the flavours. So
Yeah.
you can use less water, more water, you can get the water to go through it for more time or less time, and you really get the sort of subtle notes in the coffee, and you can make it more bitter, more sour. So I'm interested what would happen if
What
we
would be
put...
the minimum amount you could put through?
So we use between 17 and 18 grams, which is quite a lot of coffee, but you can get away with 14, 15, which is what a lot of other coffee shops and cafes use.
How many cups does that make?
That would make a double shot. So
Okay.
realistically, 1 cup. You could split it to 2. Is that a
suppose you-
lot of acorn?
I don't know. I measure it in teaspoons. So
I'm
like,
trying to think
commercially wise.
It's probably about
have to weigh it.
3 teaspoons. Yeah, we'd have to weigh it.
Yeah. Maybe that's a future experiment is to run some. I
Yeah.
was thinking, do we need like a bag of acorns in order to run your machine? Or can we just go, here's a small bag and do it that way?
Yeah, we might have to try. Well, if you think about the coffee bag size, probably when you grind an acorn, it's probably about the same density as coffee beans, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. That needs more thought and
Experiment for another
experiment.
time.
Yeah.
Part 2. I just
Part
want
2,
to come
yeah.
back and have more food. I'm just trying to...
Can we do another one from the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the ghosts.
Yeah, our haunted coffee shop.
I don't know whether this is a selling point. I mean, I can cut it if you like.
No, it's one of the oldest buildings in Bassett. And it's a stop on the ghost tour that they do.
It wasn't always a coffee shop.
It wasn't always a coffee
Yeah.
shop. So what I've been told is that, so there's a pub next door to us, and I'm told that back in the day that would have been just one big building. Yeah, and it's one of the oldest buildings, and there's a couple stories about people thinking that they hear spirits or see spirits, or a case of what could be sleep
Paralysis.
paralysis.
Yeah.
Or it could have been a ghost.
Okay, so episode 2 from the coffee shop. Acorns running through the coffee machine and a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Right, I've said it, so we're going to do it. I'm not sure whether Vikings had Ouija boards, but, you know, it'll be fun.
Maybe that's a topic for research in between.
Did they have Ouija boards? They definitely didn't. What was it, a game invented in like the 19th century, I
Yeah,
think?
or maybe it's just
Little
slightly
bit.
too modern. Yeah,
Yeah, it's about 900 years out.
maybe not. But I don't know if they're there, but I say good morning to them and I say good evening to them just on the off chance. But so far they've been good to us. I think that they enjoy the coffee and the sourdough bread.
I mean, it probably smells good.
Yeah.
Fresh coffee every day.
I haven't tried what they do in the Addams Family, which is put the coffee down the toilet in the morning so the house can have some.
Okay. This is taking a weird turn. All right, so we should probably move into the final questions that I
Okay.
ask everybody, and I might have to do some butchery of editing here because I've got to remember my own questions. So, first question is, if you had an unlimited budget, what would be your dream project?
That's such a good question. There's so many things that I would want to do. One of the things that I think is actually going to be our next big stage is doing a bar in the evening as well. A little
good.
pop-up bar, something quiet, cocktails. I know that our espresso martinis are just going to be the best.
I nearly did that today.
Yeah, with the acorn
With the
coffee.
acorns, yes. But then
Yeah.
I was looking into the recipes for it, and they've all got like kahuna in, which is coffee flavoured anyway. And so I thought, are we gaining anything? So I decided against it.
Would the Vikings have had vodka?
No, no, they wouldn't. But I just thought it would be fun, you know. It would be
Couple
fun.
of issues with that.
It doesn't have to be Viking. I mean,
Yeah, but yeah, it's sort of a secret bar speakeasy type thing. Yeah,
mead.
mead would be very good. And you know, everyone that I've given mead to has loved it. I don't know why it's not more available. The mead that you get in the supermarkets is not mead.
Yes.
Victory.
I finally got through to someone.
It's true though, but proper mead, it's very good.
Yeah.
And everyone I've given it to has loved it. So maybe that could be on the future menu.
That would be good. There you go. We can get. We're not selling this stuff, but we might get mead on the menu.
Yeah.
So I'll put you in touch with one of the awesome suppliers, and
Please
you can get some really good mead.
Yeah.
Rather than
Which I
super
obviously have to sample plenty of before being able to put it on the menu.
Well, as a real expert, I think you're going to have to invite me to the tasting. Yeah. All right. So so that would be your dream, would be to sort of extend the business and.
Yeah, it's a hard
Have a
question to
bar.
answer because
Yeah.
I'm doing my dream at the moment. That's the thing that I'm doing.
Starbucks.
So it's yeah.
Take on the big companies, maybe.
Yeah, I mean we're already thinking about where our next location could
You've
be.
heard
That's
it here
a little
first.
it's a little while off, but yeah, we're already thinking about that. This is definitely just the beginning.
So are there other coffee shops in Bassett?
There are cafes in Bassett.
There's not like a Costa or a Starbucks.
There's a Costa.
Right, so we're buying them out first with unlimited budget.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah.
Take out the competition.
Yeah, and then I think our next move would be somewhere like Bath. A city that's just got so much character there. Yeah, that would be...
And you can sell the more artisan sort of coffees.
And definitely. I think
sourdoughs
there's
and things.
definitely a market there for people.
And the goat bones. They love goat bones
yeah.
in Bath.
Just go to Bath, there's goat bones everywhere.
It's the one thing everyone says, isn't it? Should we go to Bath? Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of goat bones. Yeah, that sounds good. So, next question is, do you think you could have survived on a Viking Age diet?
You know what? I think I would have loved to survive on a Viking Age diet if I was more upper class Viking.
Or an upper class Viking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving the bread and the salmon, but realistically, that would not have been the majority of people,
depends where you live
right?
more than anything, really. You know,
Okay.
a lot of fish would be more coastal unless it was cured.
Yeah.
So by curing that would now keep. So in actual fact, could be transported
Yeah.
inland. And things like mussels were imported or like brought further inland.
Nice.
So yeah, it's more, not so much about the status, but more about where you live and whether you've got your own livestock and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think just mead, bread, maybe a good protein. I'm set, I'm happy.
The only thing you would miss, this is kind of the follow-on is...
You know what? I think it's going to be one of those simple things that are probably mass-produced, like macaroni cheese.
Macaroni cheese.
Yeah.
Viking Age macaroni cheese.
Could they have done it? I mean, they had flour and water, so they could have made something.
You can make pasta.
Pasta,
Cheesy
egg
pasta.
as well.
Yeah. You can make an egg pasta with macaroni.
Perfect.
I don't know how you'd make the shape, but...
That's fine. As long as it's
Cheesy
pasta and
pasta.
cheese, I'd be happy, yeah.
One of the lost episodes, we actually did that, and we made pasta in the Earth House, just to see whether we could.
Yeah.
And obviously we could. I mean, it's eggs and flour in water. Very easy to do. And yeah, whether they would have done it, they made dumplings and things. It's a very similar process.
Lovely.
I don't want to take anything away from Italy, but maybe the Vikings did it first.
You heard it here, the Vikings had pasta first.
Shh, we haven't done that episode yet. It's not gone out because I lost it.
Do you want to go into also the pizza conversation of where I had pizza first? Could it have been the Vikings?
Well...
Oh, controversial.
No, so there are, and I can't name off the top of my head, but there are a few places, I don't want to name any of them because I'll probably get it wrong, but some of the recreated longhouses, when they have kids and stuff in, they make pizzas on the fire, which is basically a flatbread with sort of toppings on it. And they do call it pizza, and it angers some people. I don't care. I mean, like, as long as you're honest with people that, look, they probably didn't do this, but this is something that could have been done.
Yeah.
And you're playing with that concept, especially with kids, they're more likely to remember it.
Yeah.
So I don't have any issue with that sort of thing. Like we're saying, like, with other things where I try and take a modern thing and back, sort of age it to available ingredients, to me, that's fine. Because we don't have recipes, no one can say they definitely didn't do that.
And I suppose it's hard as well because our tastes would be very different to how they would have tasted things, right?
Again, I mean, that's hard to say. We don't know. A lot of the ingredients would be very different. I'm sure that even just, you know, animals were smaller back then and we've bred them for certain sizes and flavours and all the rest of it. So whether that would affect what a goat tasted like or a pig tasted like back then, I think, the Saxons used to make a lot of bacon.
Nice.
But whether that recipe would have been like what we know as bacon, or whether that's more like, I would imagine it's probably more like lardon sort of style, a more chunky thing. But yeah, we don't know.
I'll add that to my Viking macaroni and cheese.
Bacon. Right, so the next one is in the coffee shop with a Ouija board, acorn coffee, and macaroni cheese.
Yeah, slightly worried what I've signed myself up for here, but okay, I'm in.
It'll be fun.
And maybe take on as close as we can get to Viking espresso martini.
Yes. I'm not sure how we'd do that without spirits, but we've got the ghosts. So.
The ghost can guide us.
Oh yeah, so there are 3 other questions, but these are for Patreon only.
Okay.
So I'm afraid if you're not a Patreon, and currently, I'm going to be completely honest, there are 2. It's completely shot through the roof. We doubled the numbers of patrons this week alone. So we'll do a quick thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, and thank you for supplying the food. I'm surprised that I liked it all. It was all really great.
But yet, still not going on the menu.
Well, we've semi-agreed to mead, so...
Yeah, okay, mead's a compromise.
Yeah, it's a good compromise.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about coffee meads. That needs work. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to see more of Rebecca, go over to my Patreon, and there's 3 bonus questions. Awesome. Which we're going to record now.
Yeah, or visit the coffee shop, and I definitely won't tell you the answers to the questions.
Teaser. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed the podcast or want to hear more, remember to like and subscribe and give me a rating. For recipes and ideas, visit my website saxonforager.co.uk. I also have 3 cookbooks available to buy on Amazon worldwide. These are Eat Like a Viking Volumes 1 and 2 and Eat Like a Halfling. Thanks for watching.